Hello, Ian, Somerset News Network. First thing I'd like to clear up is my sign. I had a lot of comments on my last video on Starmer and the rent boy. They're saying that freedom of speech and debate only applies to MPs. I've been through this before, and I will say it again. Read the whole Article 9. My expertise is the Wildlife Act and the Firearms Act and how they apply together and how they work in practice. I used to advise the wildlife section in the Department of Environment in Bristol. They found that I understood how the Act applies in practice because I'm a countryman and I was a civil servant for 6 years. And they used to ask for my advice. They'd ask me a question, and we used to have little A5 pieces of paper like this. And we would write something called a minute. And it was just a little note. And I would write minutes after reading the Act, putting it together, putting the Wildlife Act and the Firearms Act together to see what happens and how it affects me as a countryman and how it works in practice. And one day I gave advice. I wrote a minute out and it got put on file. The file ended up in Marsham Street in the headquarters, and it went all up through the ranks, and then it came back. Now what happened is I gave my advice, the EO that got hold of it edited it, the HEO got hold of it and edited it, the grade 3 got hold of it and edited it, and it was totally different than what I said. It ended up going to London, it came back, and the advice from London was exactly what I said. After that, they took me seriously, and I didn't have another minute edited out of all proportions like they did. Anyway, that's the Bill of Rights over and done with. There is a "or" in it. It says freedom of speech or proceedings in Parliament. That splits it into two halves, into two parts. So we all have the right of free speech under the Bill of Rights. Now there's a question if it's 1688 or 1689. And I don't know the answer. But it's the Bill of Rights. And we've got it and it's there. And if I use the same logic as I use for the Wildlife and Countryside Act and the Firearms Act to the Bill of Rights and the meaning of that section, it's split into two: freedom of speech and debate and then proceedings in Parliament. Okay? It's quite logical. It's in English. But why do you keep telling me it's only for MPs? You have been brainwashed for so many years that this is what the truth is. That's how they managed to get rid of free speech out of London and put it into Hyde Park. There were pamphlets being produced against the government. The government didn't like it, so they moved free speech in London out to Hyde Park. Now, I'm not complaining that Hyde Park is there and it allows people to have free speech, but it was a restriction of free speech within London. Okay? Over and done with. Right. Now let's get back to Starmer and the rent boy. This has now become a question of national security. And I'm serious now. This is as bad as it gets. Now we know that security forces use prostitutes, male and female. Ian Fleming was in room 101 when he was in military intelligence. He was hiring prostitutes in France and Germany to go to the brothels where the German officers went to get information. The CIA were using them as well. Now, could it be, now this is speculation on my part, could it be that the Ukrainian, who we now know is a rent boy, a male prostitute, is a Ukrainian spy? Let that sink in a minute. Did Starmer know him? He is allegedly created the arson attacks on a number of properties in London owned by Starmer. He even set Starmer's car on fire. They're saying, oh, it's Starmer's old car. Does that mean he sold it? How did he know it was Starmer's car? It's all weird stuff, mind. And the cover-up is unbelievable. We found out so much information, and it's the void that creates all the speculation. I will speculate. Now then, they're now saying that the Ukrainian is a Ukrainian Russian, and he's a Russian spy. I don't know. But whichever it is, if he's Ukrainian or if he's Ukrainian Russian and back in Russia, whatever it is, he could be a spy. Did he know Starmer, and how did he know all these houses? Is he working for somebody else? Did somebody tell him? There are questions that have to be answered. And this goes to national security. Our national security is at risk. One of the notes put on my last video was that we're going to give Ukraine millions of pounds a year for 100 years. Is this part of the blackmail of Starmer? I'm only asking the questions. The whole thing absolutely stinks. What we need is the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth. Our national security is at stake. Is this why Starmer wanted to take us into the war with Russia? Is this a part of it? I don't know. I pose questions. Frightening, isn't it, when you think about it? We need to know the truth. We need to get to the bottom of this. Personally, I think Starmer should resign and clear his name. I also think that Starmer ought to call an election. Now we've had 10 months of a Labour government, we know what they're like. And people will reject them, like they rejected the Tories. I'm not sure that reform is the best thing to do, but that's what we might end up with. This is a question of national security. It's as high as it gets. It's as bad as it gets. You've got Starmer, his secrets that we're not being told. Oh, Starmer's got a secret. Then they try and make out that he's having an affair with one of his ministers. Then they're saying he's got a love child and another family. Is that disinformation to hide the fact that he's hiring rent boys? I pose the question. Don't know the answer. But everybody is speculating. Everybody is jumping to conclusions. One YouTuber who I like, the Silver Fox, said that no way is Starmer having an affair with the rent boy. There is no connection whatsoever. Why did he say that? He's under police investigation at the moment for a video he did. He doesn't want to add any controversy to that inquiry. Do we believe him or not? You know, was he right? Is there nothing in it? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But you've got a Ukrainian rent boy attacking Starmer's properties. Now, why? What was the relationship between Starmer and the rent boy? How did the rent boy know Starmer? How did he know where the houses were? How did he know what the car was? Is he a Ukrainian spy? And is this a question of national security? I would say the answer to that is yes. And where's that going to end? Are we going to end up in a war in Ukraine with Russia because of this? Because Starmer's trying to save his skin? I would have said save his ass, but you're not allowed to say that on YouTube. But you see what I mean? And most people agree with me. If I look at the comments that were before. You lot out there are making your own minds up. And it ain't good for Starmer. So Starmer's got to come out and tell the truth. I'm with John Lennon. Just give me the truth. It's what John Lennon sung. And that's how I feel. I just want the truth. Just give me the truth. Anyway, Ian, Somerset News Network. Bye-bye.